about the selfie. Our world is now consumed by the selfie. Let's face it, some of us have hundreds or maybe thousands of these pics on our devices. I mean, who hasn't almost had their eye gorged out by the selfie stick? Believe it or not, this isn't a recent phenomenon. Let's dive a little deeper into the art of the selfie. Support provided by the Glick Fund, a CICF fund focused on inspiring philanthropy. Additional support provided by the Crystal DeHaan Family Foundation in honor of the children and families of Crystal House. Robert Cornelius was an American pioneer in photography and produced an image of himself using a daguerreotype camera in 1839, which is also one of the first photographs of a person. Because the process was so slow, he was able to uncover the lens, run into the shot for a minute or more, and then replace the lens cap. Pretty cool. Even though the term selfie has only been around since 2002, the debut of the portable camera in 1900 led to self-portraits or selfies becoming a more widespread idea. In fact, Russian Grand Duchess Anastasia Nikolaevna, at the age of 13, was one of the first teenagers to take her own picture using a mirror to send to a friend in 1914. Of course, this idea grew even more in the 1970s with affordable instant cameras such as the classic Polaroid. Did you know these are making a comeback? Yep, probably thanks to Instagram is my guess. But once Sony came out with the Ericsson mobile phone in late 2003, the introduction of a front-facing camera was born. Now we have fields of cloud servers holding millions of selfies. Actually, over 17 million selfies are uploaded every week. Before the front-facing camera, artists have always utilized similar ideas to the selfie. I mean, check out how many famous artists have done self-portraits. Many of these self-portraits were composed to tell you a story, similar to you taking a selfie while on vacation or taking an hour to compose the background of your selfie by probably adding, the Pope or something. Take, for example, two of my favorites done by Picasso. Check out the amazing bright colors he used here. Definitely rocking that yellow-orange ascot. By contrast, check out this self-portrait done just a few years after. Totally different, right? This blue period painting was done just after Picasso had lost a close friend. It's almost as if he took the equivalent of a selfie and added a filter just so you could better understand how he was feeling. The reality, of course, is that he isn't here to tell the story, so he's giving us the most amount of detail possible with the heavy dark coat, pasty skin tone, and blue-gray color palette. However, probably even more closely related to the modern-day selfie would be the composed photograph. And who better to look at than Salvador Dali? There is no doubt that Dali would have eaten up the chance to have an iPhone. You have to check out some of the photos he would compose. Like any good photographer, Dali knew how to set up a shot, and he most certainly wanted to take the abstract, bizarre nature of his paintings and incorporate it into photographs. Of course, Dali would be killing it on Instagram with this shot. It's all about the kitty cat right now. By the way, did you know that in 2015, it was reported that more people have been killed taking selfies that year than by shark attacks? I'm not making this stuff up. In fact, it has become such an issue in Russia that the Russian Ministry of the Interior released a selfie safety guide in 2015. Let's face it, no selfie is worth losing your life for. Question for you, what if you didn't have a camera and you didn't know how to paint? What would you do? That's right, you'd hire an artist. To better understand how the art of this self-portrait and selfie came together, we are heading over to the Cincinnati Art Museum to take a look at an oil painting which was basically a highly composed selfie at the time. Follow me. We are here at the Cincinnati Art Museum, and we are actually in one of the main hallway gallery areas that's actually highlighting different pieces of art. And I'm here with Julie Aronson, who is one of the curators here. I'm just super glad you're taking some time here to talk about, we have a massive painting here in this gallery that we're gonna kind of talk about. Well, first of all, who actually painted this, and how in the world did it get here in the museum?
This was painted by an English painter of the 18th century named Thomas Gainsborough, who got his start in art very young. He became interested in artwork when he was a child and convinced his father that at the age of 13 he had to pick up and go to London to study with the masters, and had a kind of meteoric rise to prominence in the art world.
Did his parents have a background in art, or did he just...
No, that was something he took an interest in. And in fact, he wanted to be a landscape painter. But like many artists who want to be landscape painters, they needed to do something to make a better living, and painting portraits is a way to do that. We have to remember that this was an era when photography didn't yet exist. And so a painted portrait was one of the only ways that you could have a record of what a loved one looked like. So painted portraits had a different kind of value than they have today for both ordinary people and for the wealthy. And of course, the wealthy could afford somebody like Gainsborough and a massive painting like this one.
Tell me about the subject. Who is this and what's so unique about her?
Anne Ford was a remarkable young woman in that she was a professional musician. She started out playing concerts in her home and aspired to do something that was very advanced for the time. Women were not professional musicians at the time, and they weren't thought of very highly. And in fact, her own father tried to disrupt her concert career by having her arrested on 2 occasions. And you see that she's got her legs crossed. That was not considered to be an appropriate pose for a young woman at the time. It was considered to be too masculine. And this is a very sophisticated portrait, and he shows her to be very confident and very pleased with her career. It's something that's very much something that she's proud of, and you get a sense of that in this painting. And she has this absolutely fabulous dress, which is really a tribute to Gainsborough's proficiency as a painter. You can see these wonderful, sort of slashing brush strokes, in which he doesn't actually, try to describe every wrinkle, but he gives you this feeling of this wonderful, luxuriant satin fabric.
Yeah, and was there a unique style that he was known for, or?
Well, it is really this kind of, there's a sort of freedom to the way in which he puts paint on a canvas that's quite different from many of his contemporaries, and it was very modern for its day.
Well, thank you so much again, Julie, for your time. It was super amazing just to hear a little bit more about, especially the subject of this painting.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here.
What involves volcanic ash, dangerous chemicals, extreme heat, expert timing, ground pigment, and expert creativity? You guessed it, fresco painting. Check this out. Fresco painting using wet plaster dates back to 1500 BC and the island of Crete in Greece. Of course, fresco can be seen around ancient Greece as well, often within tombs depicting scenes of everyday life. There are even scenes of a couple dudes just reclining at a banquet. However, where we really see some incredible examples is in the ancient city